to the Who Dat Nation and welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and there's no rest for the weary as the Saints are preparing to host the Jacksonville Jaguars this Thursday night in the Caesars Superdome on primetime, or in primetime, should I say, on Prime Video. And I am still kind of punch drunk from Sunday. we haven't finished grieving over that loss last week, and here we are, boom, another game. It's good and bad in ways. It's good because it's a quicker resolution to that loss. If you win Thursday night, it's bad if you come off and lose again. And I don't know, man. This is going to be a very tough game. Jacksonville is not a pushover. They're leading their division, the AFC South, right now, and they're fresh off of a playoff appearance last season. And I think they won the division last season, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a quick turnaround for Doug Patterson and Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they are on the up. Where to for every yin, there's a yang, and the New Orleans Saints are on the down. The Saints are second in the division right now with a 3-3 record, and it's a good thing that this division is trash because we'll be in so much trouble right now. But we're coming off a weekend where the entire division, I don't know how many times this has happened in the history of the NFL. I'm pretty sure that it has happened a lot, but I can't remember too many times this has happened in the NFC South where every single team lost on on the same day. Every team. Tampa lost. Who they played? Detroit, I believe. They lost to Detroit. The Falcons lost. Or was it the Falcons that played Detroit? It doesn't matter who they all played. Anyway, everybody lost. And of course, we lost to the Houston Texans by the score of 20-13 last week. And let's quickly go over that game. As I stated after the game, when we recapped that debacle, I'm numb. I'm still numb. I'm still dejected. I'm like, whatever at this point when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. And it hurts. It didn't bother me Sunday into midway Tuesday. But midway through the day Tuesday, I kind of started to just feel pain. It wasn't anger or anything like that. It was more just like hurt. It's like those of us who significant others have cheated on them before, and you caught them cheating, and and you feel that pain. There's just the betrayal and just the pain of that individual cheating on you. And I feel like I was cheated, and I feel like I was cheated because I was told that this was going to be a different team from last season. I was told that the proper changes were made, the right people were brought in, that we were going to get a different offense as opposed to last season, that pedestrian, predictable, uh, conservative offense that we got last year that got us absolutely nowhere. To be more accurate, it got us a 7-9 record. And I was led to believe that things were going to change this season. Where here we stand 6 weeks in, and you can make the argument that it did change. This offense looks worse than it did last season. Statistically, they're worse. If you compare the first 6 weeks of last season to the first 6 weeks of this season thus far, we are worse. And I don't understand it. At least last year, we had a built in excuse. Everybody was hurt, which they were. You know, Michael Thomas was hurt. You had Alvin Kamara. I think he missed a couple of games last year. Plus, he had that looming suspension coming, and that weighed on him, and he was dejected there. Jameis Winston got hurt, you know, uh, and the list goes on and on. And now everybody's healthy. We have even more weapons than we had last season. We have a quote unquote better quarterback than we had last season, and nothing. We have nothing to show for it. And it is so frustrating. It's so frustrating as a Saints fan. You know what I'm saying? As a Saints fan, and you look at this schedule that we have in front of us, or still have majority of it, and you're like, man, there's no reason the New Orleans Saints shouldn't just run crazy through this schedule. You see the state of this division, and you're like, man, there's no reason the Saints shouldn't just run through this division. And we're 3-3. Now, 3-3 isn't bad. It could be worse. We could be the Carolina Panthers, who have yet to win a game this year, but 3-3 is not good, not with this quality of talent, not with this schedule. There's no reason why we should be 3-3. And then you look at those 3 losses. That's the thing that keeps playing in my head for the past couple of days. These 3 losses that we have. Now, should the Saints be 6-0 right now? I'm not going to go that far. But they could be. They could be. Look at the 3 losses. Let's start with the first one. We lost to Tampa. We did lose to Tampa, but our first loss was to Green Bay with a 17-0 lead in the 4th quarter. Saints lost that game. The Saints lost that game. And Jordan Love didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't go nuclear on the Saints defense per se. It was more or less the Saints offense just went stagnant and couldn't do anything and kept giving the ball back to the Packers. And we lost. Packers really didn't do anything. All respect to them. They won the game. Good for them. But whatever. Okay, we'll shake that off. We had a brain fart in that game, right? So we was willing to move on. Tampa Bay was next with Baker Mayfield under center. Baker Mayfield. Now, you look at that score and you're like, man, Tampa put it on the Saints. 29-6, I think the score was. You're like, man, they put it on the Saints. Okay, tell me what Tampa did. Tell me. What did Tampa do to destroy the Saints? You still can't figure it out, right? I'm still baffled by that game. I don't understand what happened. I don't know what happened. Because if you look at the statistics in that game, Saints won in every statistical category, but lost by 20. I just don't get it. And then we go to last week. Last week versus the Houston Texans. And once again, Houston came out hot. Houston, we didn't match the energy, at first. And Houston jumped on the Saints. Had a nice first half. Saints missed the field goal in the first half. They missed one in the second half as well. But, we were still in the game. The game was never out of reach. But we get to the second half, Saints shut down, or should I say the Saints defense shut down the Houston Texans offense. They only scored 3 points in the second half. And the Saints still couldn't capitalize. And this is with Derek Carr throwing for like 1,000,000 yards last week, but couldn't score. Mind-boggling. And I want to touch in on this before we go into our preview, that I've heard a lot over the past couple of days about Derek Carr in his red zone percentage or whatever, dating back to when he was in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Now, he may be bad in the red zone. I don't know. I didn't really pay that much attention to him when he was in Las Vegas. You know, he may be bad in the red zone. But I'm hearing a lot of vitriol towards Derek Carr because we can't score in the red zone. Some of that may be true, but let's not forget, people. Let's not let's not lose sight of ourselves here. Saints couldn't score in the red zone for years, and this is going back to Drew Brees. Saints was having serious troubles getting touchdowns in the red zone. It was like it was like pulling teeth, man. This goes back to Sean Payton. I mean, I want to say like 2018, 2017 maybe. That's when it really started to rear its head that we could not punch the ball in the red zone. And it's just the cycle, man. It hasn't stopped. It's the same thing. And it's rearing its ugly head yet again this year. And that's not to excuse Derek Carr. I'm not excusing him, but I'm not putting it all on him like a lot of people are because it's not fair. It's not it's not fair to Derek Carr. And I think that people really need to look back and just look at this team as a totality and really analyze it for what it is. This team is a 3-3 team, which means they're a 500 team, which means they're an average team. I would go as far to say they're below average, but you are what your record says you are. But this week, this Thursday night, in prime time, at home, nonetheless, the New Orleans Saints will make their home Thursday night football debut on the NFL's Amazon Prime Video package when they host the Jacksonville Jaguars in the Caesars Superdome. The Jacksonville Jaguars sit atop the AFC South with a record of 4-2 and are coming off of a 37-20 win over the Colts just this past Sunday. Jacksonville had 2 touchdowns through the air and 2 touchdowns on the ground, while they picked off Colts quarterback Garner Minshew 3 times. The Jaguars and the Saints defense are tied for second in the league with 8 interceptions apiece. We'll probably have to wait until game day to learn the real injury status, and we're going to go over the injury report in a few minutes. But just to give you a preview, Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence, he had suffered a knee injury in the game just this past week and is day-to-day according to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I fully expect him to play. I don't see him not playing in this game. The Saints are coming off a 20-13 loss to the Houston Texans just past Sunday. Derek Carr had his highest yardage total in his first 6 games as a New Orleans Saints quarterback, as he finished the contest completing 32 of 50 pass attempts for 353 yards and a touchdown. It was Carr's 10th highest output as a pro and his 35th career 300-yard passing game. While the Saints offense gained 430 yards, 24 first downs, and converted 40% on third down, the red zone struggles were too much to overcome as they failed to come away with a touchdown on 3 trips in the red zone. Historically, between these two teams, the Saints have the upper hand in the season series against the Jacksonville Jaguars, including winning the last 4 matchups and holding a 5-2 overall lead in this series. This is the 8th contest between these two franchises. The New Orleans Saints won the first ever meeting between these two teams, 17-13, back in 1996 at the Superdome, before dropping the next 2 contests, one in 1999 where the Saints lost 41-23. I remember that game. And the infamous 20-19 loss in 2003, both in Jacksonville. That that game in 2000, that game in 2003, if y'all remember, that was the River City Relay, I think they called it. They dubbed it. That was the one with the laterals. That's when Aaron Brooks was the quarterback and uh, Jim Haslett was the coach, I believe. Yes, he was the coach. And Saints scored on a lateral. They lateraled the ball about 5 times and scored with no time left. And I was like, oh my God, this is epic. And it was close to Christmas because we had the Christmas tree up. And I'm gonna tell you why that is poignant in in this story for in a couple of seconds. And John Carney, our kicker at the time, lines up to kick the extra point to send us into overtime. And he missed it. And I mean, missed it. It wasn't even close. As soon as it left his foot, it immediately shot off to the left. I mean, it was unbelievable. He couldn't do that on purpose, how bad he kicked it. I mean, an extra point. I immediately stood up, screamed, yelled at the TV, a few expletives, and I proceeded to kick the Christmas tree. And when I kicked the Christmas tree, it fell over in, the little Christmas tree stand. It broke. And so I had to prop the Christmas tree up against the wall. The Christmas tree was on a gangster lean until Christmas that year because I kicked the tree and broke it. And my wife came out the back because she doesn't watch the games with me because she feels that I'm too animated. And she comes from out the back and she's like, it's just a game. And I started to run. I just looked at her and she went back into because I was like, don't you dare. Not for this one. No. I don't want to hear it. But yeah, that was my memory of that 20-19 loss in 2003. Yeah, it was a day that lives in infamy here in the Reed household. But let's go over the league averages, or should I say the league rankings for both teams. The New Orleans Saints, as we said before, they are 3-3. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 4-2. Scoring average. Here's the NFL rankings for both teams. Saints are ranked 24th in scoring average with 18.2 points a game. I just want y'all to let that soak for a second. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they are ranked 10th, 23.7 scoring average. Opponent scoring average, Saints are ranked 6th with 16 points a game. Jacksonville is 15th with 20.3. Total offense, Saints 20th in the league with 312.5. The Jacksonville Jaguars total offense 13th, 337.3. Rushing offense, Saints are ranked 23rd with an average of 95.8 per game. Jacksonville is ranked 16th with 113.5 per game. Passing offense, Saints are ranked 15th, and I'm actually shocked by that because I thought it would be much lower than that. But passing offense, Saints are ranked 15th with 216.7 yards per game. Jacksonville, on the other hand, is ranked 12th with 223.8. Total defense, Saints are ranked 5th in the league, only allowing 278.3 yards a game. Jacksonville's defense is ranked 21st, allowing 345.7 per game. Rushing defense, Saints are ranked 9th, allowing only 96.3 yards a game. Jacksonville, on the other hand, have one of the best run defenses in the league. They are ranked 3rd, only allowing 75.3 yards a game. Passing defense, Saints are ranked 5th in the league, 182 yards per game to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are ranked 31st. That is one off of the last ranked passing defense in the league. They allow 270.3 yards a game. Turnover margin, Saints are a +2. They are tied for 12th in the league, whereas the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are a +7. They are the second in the league with turnover margin. That is scary. Penalties, I know this is going to be disgusting. Saints have 43 penalties in 6 games to Jacksonville's 28. Since we're breaking down numbers, let's go over our season leaders of passing yardage for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is Trevor Lawrence. He is 141 of 210 passes, 1,439 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. For the New Orleans Saints, our leading passer is Derek Carr. He is 130 over 200 pass attempts, 1,299 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Running, the leading rusher for the Jacksonville Jaguars is ETN. He has 113 carries, 451 yards, and 5 touchdowns. For the New Orleans Saints is, of course, Alvin Kamara with 52 carries, 199 yards, and 1 touchdown. Leading receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars is Kurt. He has 33 receptions, 384 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For the Saints, it is Chris Olave with 32 receptions, 414 yards, and 1 touchdown. Our injury report for Thursday night's matchup between the Saints and the Jaguars, starting with the Jaguars. They have a few people who are out. Are they key injuries? Maybe, but judging by the last 6 weeks, that doesn't matter for the Saints anyway. But anywho's, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, their wide receiver, Zay Jones, he is ruled out for Thursday night's game. Tyson Campbell, cornerback, has been ruled out. Walker Little, offensive tackle, he is out. Devon Hamilton, their defensive tackle, is on IR. And the big one on their list is Trevor Lawrence, quarterback. He is questionable, but I'm not questioning it at all because I believe he's going to play. For the New Orleans Saints, we have some names on here that's kind of disturbing. That is new to the list. We have our usual suspects. Landon Young, offensive tackle, he is out yet again. Jamal Williams, running back, is still out. He's on IR. And Juwan Johnson, tight end, he is out still with that calf. At this point, I don't know why they just don't put him on IR. I don't know what's the issue with Juwan Johnson. That calf must be really, really serious. But we miss him because obviously he was a big part of this offense because it's all thrown off because he's not playing. But anyway, the 2 names that popped up on this list that's disturbing to me is Demario Davis, linebacker. He is questionable for Thursday night's game. And Tyrann Mathieu, safety. He is also questionable. I expect him to play. But yeah, man, it's I don't know, man. I don't know. We getting to the point now where the injuries are going to start piling up as further we get into the season. This is a game that is crucial on so many levels because you kind of got a mini bye here, after this game, as opposed to having 7 games or 7 days, should I say, till the next game. You're going to have 10. So it's like a mini bye. You're going to have 3 extra days to heal up, to rest up. It'll feel much, much better if you win. And so that's the biggest question going into this game. Keys to victory. for the New Orleans Saints against the Jacksonville Jaguars this Thursday night is pretty much the same thing I've been saying all week, well, all season long, is find a way to run the ball. Find a way to keep a defense honest. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm fully aware that the Jacksonville Jaguars run defense is one of the best in the league. To be more accurate, it's the third best in the league. They only allow 75 yards a game rushing. And so it's going to be tough, but keep them honest. You can't go one dimensional on a team. I know, yeah, they're the top 3 defense against the run, but they're the bottom 2 defense against the pass. And they know that. You know that. But don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, because that same pass defense caught 3 interceptions last week. So they're not that bad. So don't fall for that. Oh, we're gonna be all right. We'll just throw it on this weak pass defense of Jacksonville. No. Keep them honest. Run the ball. Use some screen passes. Use the screen game. Work. This is the biggest key to victory. Work the middle of the field. For some strange reason, Pete Carmichael, Derek Carr, whoever is out, whoever decision it is to stay away from the middle of the field is a stupid decision, because the middle of the field is wide open every single play, but they refuse to utilize it. Defensively, contain ETN. It with Trevor Lawrence being hampered with that knee injury, that lets me know they're going to lean onto that run game. And so I would force Trevor Lawrence to beat me. I'm going to contain ETN, if not shut him down, because if they're able to run, control the clock, control the pace of the game by pounding the ball, we're going to be in trouble. So we have to shut that down, and shut that down quick, and let the Jacksonville Jaguars know that they're in for a long night. And so those are my keys to victory. The over-under for this game is 40, and I don't know how he got to that. And normally I don't talk about the over-unders and the spreads and all that there on here, but that number just jumped out to me like, is Vegas, they on crack or something? There's no way these teams score. I don't see neither one of them going over 20 points, because the Saints are incapable of scoring over 20 points for some strange reason, unless they play New England. But I don't see Jacksonville really putting a high score on the Saints. So I don't know what this 40 come from. I don't know. It could be, but it just jumped out to me. I mean, I would take the under. I would take the under, but hey, anything can happen, especially when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. But my prediction, and I know I'm gonna regret this. My prediction is a Saints victory. I think the Saints were embarrassed last week. If they weren't, I was embarrassed for them. But I think they're going to bounce back. And honestly, to be 100% honest, the reason I think the Saints are going to win this game is not because of the X's and O's or, this player or that player or this one. I think Dennis Allen, I think he's reading the room. I think he knows that the seat is getting hot, because you're squandering a perfect opportunity this season. And if you lose this game, there's going to have to be some decisions. And I mean some tough decisions to be made. And I don't know if he's going to survive it. Well, he may survive. I don't know about his other coaching compadre. So I think they're gonna come out with some fire this week. You know, will it be enough to defeat Jacksonville? I don't know. I mean, Jacksonville, they're not world beaters by no stretch of the imagination, but they're a solid team. And Saints have yet to announce to the world that they're a solid team. They don't even have an identity. Whatever. Anyways, I do predict the Saints will win this game. I don't have a score. I don't know. It could be by half a point, whatever the case may be. But I think the Saints will win off of that logic. I think that uh, last week kind of humbled them. Uh, if the week before didn't do it, I think last week really did do it. So we'll see. We'll see. As always, after the game goes final this Thursday night, I will return with a recap of the Saints versus the Jaguars. Hopefully, it will be a victory. I would like to know what you think about this upcoming game. Do you think the Saints will bounce back against Jacksonville, or are you looking forward to the same? Do you think it's going to be 3 in a row in the lose column for the New Orleans Saints? I would love to know your thoughts going into this Thursday night matchup. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. We're on all social media platforms as well. Just look up the KB Radio Network. Also, YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol here on the KB Radio Network. Everyone, thank you for joining me for this preview of the Thursday night matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to New Orleans to take on our Saints in the Caesar Superdome. 7:15 on Prime Video. Can't wait to speak to you after the game to talk about prayerfully a Saints victory. Until then, enjoy the game and who dat?